Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this video, we're talking about the Friday prayer, that is Salatul Jumu'ah. We'll be talking about the Friday prayer, Salatul Jumu'ah. We're taking a lot of things under it. First, we're talking about the ruling, that is the basic ruling. The basic ruling. So, the basic ruling is that it is compulsory, individually compulsory. Now, what do we mean by individually compulsory? This is what is referred in what is termed in Arabic as fardu ain. So that is individually compulsory. It is compulsory on every individual, to observe it. That is the basic ruling. That is the basic ruling. So it is compulsory on every individual to perform it. What it means is that the fact that some people have performed it does not make it less compulsory on the others. So, unlike some other actions that are not individually compulsory but collectively compulsory, like you have it in the case of the funeral prayer and the likes, and the case of Eid. So they are collectively compulsory. If people have observed it, that people that are enough sufficient for that action, if they have observed it, then it is not compulsory on the rest. So maybe when we get there we'll explain better, but the ruling for this is that it is individually compulsory. That is the basic ruling, fardu ain. So the next thing we're talking about, are the conditions. So these conditions, some of these conditions, if they are not met, it will not be, compulsory on that person. So what are these conditions? Islam is a condition. Of course, cuts across every art of worship, and this is not the first time we are mentioning it. Liberty, that is, a person must not be a slave, must not be a slave. So it's also a condition, and masculinity, a person has to be a male. A person has to be a male before it becomes compulsory, which means it is not compulsory for females. So remember, we said that is only the basic ruling, not in every case. So there are some cases where it is not compulsory. So if a person, if a female, on a female, it is not compulsory. So maturity also a condition, so it is not compulsory for someone that is not matured. Then also sanity, of course, sanity. This is not the first time we are mentioning sanity when it comes to acts of worship. So of course, somebody that is not sane will not be able to identify that is actually performing Friday prayer. So non-traveling also is not compulsory on somebody that is traveling. So a person that is traveling is not compulsory upon him. So and lastly is fitness. A person has to be fit, physically fit, health-wise. So it's not compulsory on somebody that is not physically fit, somebody that is not able to move to the masjid to observe it. So these are the conditions. So now we talk about the time. What time? What is the time for this Friday prayer? So this Friday prayer stands in place of Zuhr. So that is, a person that observes it does not observe Zuhr. So the time for it is also the time for Zuhr. It's also the time for Zuhr. So, and also Hotbar. The Hotbar is the sermon that is being delivered on a Friday. There are some things that we should know about the Hotbar, but we won't be mentioning it here. We'll mention it in the next slide that is coming up. Also, the methodology of this Friday prayer, we also mention it in the next slide. And also the etiquette, we also mention that in the coming slide. So khutbah, there are two things we'll talk about here, the ruling and the preferred method. What is the ruling for khutbah? Khutbah, that is the sermon, is one of the arkan of Friday prayer. That is, without khutbah, it is not considered Friday prayer. It's one of the arkan. What do we know of arkan? Something that should not be left out in an act of worship, whether deliberately or not. It shouldn't be left out. So your act of worship is not complete without it. So it's it's a part of the arkan of Friday prayers. What is the preferred method? That is the preferred method for khutbah, not the preferred method for Friday prayer. The preferred method for khutbah by the imam, the preferred method for the sermon by the imam of the mosque, the leader of the mosque, the imam of the mosque. So what does he do? Sitting while waiting for the call to prayer to end. That is when he has arrived and the muazzin makes a call to prayer. So it is preferable to sit down and wait for the call to prayer to end while observing the sunnah act of somebody listening to call to prayer that we mentioned some videos back. Then also beginning with khutubatul haja, that is the common statement that some of us are familiar with that the Imam begins the khutbah with, that is inna alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu. So nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu, so ila akhiri. So it continues like that. That's a common statement that begins with inna alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. So it continues like that. So that is what is called khutbatul haja, and it is preferable to that the Imam starts with that. Also, making taslim to the followers. Making taslim to the followers is also part of the, preferred actions during sermon. That is before giving the khutbah. Then also standing while delivering the sermon. Standing while delivering the sermon is also part of the methods. It's part of the things that the imam or the imam, has to do while delivering the khutbah. So although there are more statements regarding standing, what is the position of standing while delivering the khutbah? Is it part of the arkan or not? So there are a lot of statements regarding that, but the imam has to stand while delivering the khutbah. That's what we say. So making it two sermons, the second, the second shorter than the first, the second sermon shorter than the first. So this is part of the sunnah. So it's part of the sunnah, and also you sit between the two sermons. You sit between the two sermons for the imam, and also praying for the leaders of the Muslims. Also one of the things that's highly encouraged from the imam. So it's not expected to, to cause the leaders, but instead you pray for them. So you pray for them, for Allah to rectify them, because once they are rectified, then most likely everyone, the city as a whole, will also be rectified. We pray to Allah to rectify our leaders. So making the sermon shorter than the prayer. So this is also one of the sunnah. So most of these things that we have mentioned, they are just, they are preferred acts that even if they are abandoned, the khutbah is still considered correct. Most of them, so they are part of sunnah. So the next thing we're talking about is the methodology. Like I said some seconds ago, methodology. So how do we go about this prayer? So this is the methodology for the prayer, not methodology for the khutbah. So it is similar to the 5 daily prayer. So in terms of taslim, takbiratul ihram, the opening takbir, and so many recitation of Fatiha, and so many other things. So it is similar to the 5 daily prayer. So, but specifically, it is 2 rakah, consists of 2 rakah, and you read aloud. So that's all. That's all you need to know. That's all about the method of observing Friday prayer. Just similar to the 5 daily prayer, 2 rakahs, and the loud recitation. So that is that about that. So the etiquette. What are the etiquette of Jumu'ah? These are the etiquettes of Jumu'ah, not etiquette of khutbah. The etiquette, one is punctuality. Arriving early before the imam is very, very, very liked. Is one of the sunnah that a person has to, ensure. So to arrive before the imam is very good. So also daytime go slow before prayer. We know the meaning of go slow. We have taken go slow some videos back, and when we're talking about purification, another the chapter of purification. So go slow is Goslow is one of the preferred acts before setting out for Jumu'ah. And also take note, daytime Goslow, because in Islam the night comes before the day. So a person does not perform Goslow the night before the night of Jumu'ah, that is after sunset on Thursday, and he considers that to be his Goslow for Jumu'ah. No, you bath, you take the Goslow the day of Jumu'ah. So the day of Jumu'ah, daytime ghusl before prayer. And also clean and good clothing. Clean and good clothing is also one of the etiquettes of Jumu'ah. So also making salawat upon the Prophet, making lots of salawat upon the Prophet. That is, making salawat. There are different ways of making salawat upon the Prophet. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Uh, oh Allah, bless the Prophet. Bless the Prophet. So the statements, making salawat generally, well, whichever way is much encouraged, in on this day, making lots of it. So there's no limit to it. So, and also reciting Suratul Kahf, reciting Suratul Kahf. So it's also one of the etiquettes, reciting Suratul Kahf, also one of the etiquettes. So, and although there are a lot of assessments regarding it, but we are going with the fact that reciting Surah to Kaf is one of the etiquette. So two rakas before sitting during or before khutbah. Two rakah, that is when a person enters the masjid before the khutbah or during the khutbah, is expected to observe two rakah. Remember when we're talking about voluntary prayers, you observe two rakah once you enter uh, once you enter the masjid before sitting down. So it's the same thing here. So two rakah before sitting, during or before the khutbah, even if the imam has begun the khutbah. So we are specifically mentioning khutbah because it is not expected that you do anything once the imam has mounted the minbar and and started the khutbah. It's not expected that you do anything. It's expected that you concentrate. It's not expected that you say anything. It's not expected that you engage in any talk. So you pay full attention to the khutbah. So, and lastly, making lots of supplications, making lots of supplications throughout the day and night of Jumu'ah, because the Prophet ﷺ said there's a particular time in which the prayers are usually accepted more accepted without any, they're not turned down. The prayers are not turned down during that period. So there's a particular period in Yawm al-Jumu'ah, the day of the Friday, on Friday, that that prayers are usually easily accepted. So we pray to Allah to accept our prayer. So this is the end of um, Salatul Juma Friday prayer. So and then lastly, Friday prayer is perfectly joined by catching up with at least a rakah. So when we say perfectly joined, that is, if a person catches up with Juma or catches up with something less than a rakah in Juma, he will complete it like Zuhr. Remember, I said Juma stands in place of Zuhr. So if he catches less than a rakah, how do you catch up with a rakah? That is, you meet the imam on ruku. The imam, not people behind him, the imam himself. You meet the imam, you catch up with the imam on ruku. So when you catch up with the imam on ruku, you have caught up with a rakah. So if you meet a less than a rakah, then you complete it as if it is zuhr. That is, you observe four rakat, not two. So that is that about that. So we pray to Allah to make it better understood at the way to us. So this is the end of Salatul Jumu'ah. So in the next video we'll continue, inshallah.